Juniors, this is Mrs. Kane. Today I'm going to walk you through all the steps you'll need to know in terms of registering for classes for next year. Advisors, as I'm talking, there'll be moments when I cue you for when you need to pause the video to give your students a chance to identify classes that they'll want to take for next year. As we get started, there are 3 things you'll want to have out. Number 1, you want to have your course catalog, so as I'm talking, you can circle the classes that are interesting to you. Number 2, you need to have your course registration sheet. This sheet right now is blank, and it's where you'll list down the classes you want to take. On the back of this sheet, you'll have your course recommendation form. This has all the classes that your teachers have recommended you for next year. And finally, you're going to want to have out a pen or pencil so you can take notes of the classes that seem to be interesting to you. The first thing I want to talk about is your course recommendation form. On this form, you'll see that your teachers may have given you several or just a few recommendations of classes to take for next year. Just because a class is recommended doesn't mean that you need to take it. It means that a teacher thinks that it's a class that you might do well in, or it's a class that you may enjoy. You may have been recommended for several writing or math or science classes, for example, but it doesn't mean that you have to take every single one. As an important note, you may find there's a certain class that you weren't recommended for, but that you're interested in taking. If this is an honors or an AP class that you weren't recommended for, but that you want to take, you can appeal this process by completing a course-level placement waiver. In order to do that, first you want to look at the comments your teacher gave you so you can understand why it is that they think that maybe that class is not the best fit for you. You want to have a conversation with your teacher, one with your parents, one with your counselor, and kind of think through what the right choices will be. If you decide to complete the course-level placement waiver, you need to give that form in to me, and I can process it before registration takes place. One of the first questions you'll need to think about in terms of registering for classes for next year is how many classes you want to take. If you look at this section in the middle of your course registration form, you'll see that your options are to take 7 classes and a lunch, 6 classes, a lunch, and an A-Lab, or 6 classes, a lunch, and rather than having A-Lab, you can either do early out, a late arrival, or a double lunch. You'll want to think through which option you'll be taking because that will determine how many courses you'll be registering for. But now let's talk about what classes you're going to be taking. When we're thinking about classes for next year, some of those classes are going to be graduation requirements and some of those classes are going to be electives. The first class I'm going to talk you through are your English classes. For your English classes, you need to have 4 credits in English in order to graduate. For most of you, that was English 1, English 2, English 3, and as a senior, you'll need to take an English class. Your options are you can either take AP Lang or AP English Lit as your English class, or you can take 2 of these semester-based English 4 classes. Advisors, now's a good time to pause the video so students can read the course descriptions and then circle or write down the English classes they want to take for next year. Next, we can talk about writing. For writing, you need 3 credits in order to graduate. For most of you, that's writing 1, writing 2, and then 1 final credit of writing. As juniors, some of you took AP Lang, AP Art History, or Broadcasting as your 1 credit of writing. Others of you chose to take 2 semesters of writing classes, such as Creative Writing, Speech and Debate, Film Studies, Social Justice, or the Humanities Urban Art class. If you completed this credit of writing, you do not need to take writing during your senior year. If you did not finish up your writing requirement, you're going to need to take Intro to College Writing, either academic or Intro to College Writing honors. If you would like to take additional writing classes, you can see all the writing electives that are listed here within the course book. You can take a writing class either because you need to as a graduation requirement, or you can take one just because you like to as elective credit. Advisors, now's a good time to pause the video so students can circle or write on their course sheet the writing classes they may want to take next year. Next, we can talk about math. Math will look a little bit different for each of you depending on if you took the academic classes in math or the honors track. If you went through the academic track in math, you most likely took Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2 this year. If that's the case, you're going to take 2 of the advanced math courses. For students in the honors track, you probably took Accelerated Algebra, Geometry Honors, and Pre-Calc Honors this year. You may be recommended to take AP Calc next year, or you maybe recommend take other math courses. You need to have 4 credits of math in order to graduate. In math, I want to talk a moment about the different kinds of math classes you could take. Beginning with college algebra. If you're planning to go to community college, then you may want to consider taking college algebra. This will be a good course to give you the skills you need in Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 in order to pass the placement test going into community college. Another class that's a good option for everybody is personal finance. Personal finance, different from Algebra 1 or Algebra 2, is not focusing on how to do those math skills. Instead, it's looking at practical applications for math. So can you make a budget? Do you understand insurance? Do you understand investments? Can you balance a checkbook? Can you take care of your tax returns? This is a good quality class for everybody to know. Another class that's a really good option is statistics. For those of you with a high enough math score on the SAT, you'll be able to take the statistics for both high school credit and college credit. If your math score is not high enough on the SAT, you can take just the regular round of statistics. Many colleges currently are requiring students to take quantitative reasoning, which basically is a statistics class. It's a really good idea for everybody to see statistics first in high school before you'll have to do it in college. Other math classes you might consider are finite math. So if you did okay in Algebra 2 and you want to increase your algebra skills, finite math is a good option. If you did well in Algebra 2 and you're thinking that you may want to major in math or major in engineering or perhaps go into the business field, you might want to look into taking a semester of pre-calc and a semester of calculus. Advisors, now's a good time to pause the video so students can identify which math courses they want to take next year. I should also add in, there's a handful of students who chose to double up in math and have already completed all these math courses. If that's the case, then they do not need to take math as a senior. Science. You need to have 3 credits of science in order to graduate. For most of us, that was biology and chemistry, and then you need 1 additional credit of science. Some of you chose to take Intro to Engineering or Physics Honors this year. And some of you chose to take 2 semesters of science courses, like Anatomy and Physiology, Environmental Science, Intro to Public Health, or Forensics. If you completed this credit of science, then you do not need to take science as a senior. If you didn't, then you'll want to take some kind of science class. Even if you've completed your science credits, if you're thinking about going to a more selective school, or you're thinking about majoring in some kind of scientific field, you want to consider taking a 4th year of science. Now's a good time, advisors, to pause the video so that students can scan through the class descriptions here and see which science classes, if any, they want to take next year. Social studies. You need 4 credits of social studies in order to graduate. For most of you, that's human geo, world history, U.S. history, economics, and civics. It is required that you complete both economics and civics. If you don't complete economics and civics, the only other course to take to fulfill that requirement is AP Government. If you have fulfilled and taken all of these classes, you are done with your social studies requirement. If you haven't, you'll need to take the other class next year. If you finished your social studies requirements, you may want to consider some of the electives in social studies, which include law, current events, psychology, AP Psychology, and AP Government. Advisors, please pause the video so students can look through and circle any social studies classes they'll want to take next year. World language. You need to have 2 credits of world language in order to graduate. So that's either Spanish 1 and 2 or French 1 and 2. If you have completed your world language classes, you can stop right there. Or some of you may choose to go on and take Spanish 3 honors or AP Spanish. Advisors, now's a chance to pause the video so students can indicate whether or not they want to take an extra year of language. Now we move on to PE. For PE, it's a little bit different than what your course catalog says in the front. You need to have 1.5 credits of PE in order to graduate. That's a half credit of health, and then 1 credit or 2 semester-based classes in PE. If you have already taken a half credit of health and then 1 full credit in PE, you do not need to take PE next year. If you haven't yet finished that credit in PE, you'll need to take PE next year. And if you have finished all your PE, but you just want to take it as an elective, you can take 1 PE class next year. Advisors, now's a good time to pause the video so students can scan through, look at all the PE classes, and indicate if there's one class they want to take next year. Art, music, and technology are electives. You can see in the catalog that there are several different options within this department. You need to have 1 credit of art, music, and technology in order to graduate. After that, you can take additional classes in here as elective credit, and you can see, looking in the catalog, that some of these classes can be repeated more than once. There's even a brand new class called AP Computer Science Principles within this department. Advisors, now is the moment to pause the video so students can circle any classes within this department that they would like to take. The final area I'd like to talk you through are a couple of elective options. So there are classes that you can take as requirements for graduation, but anything that's not required for graduation you can take for elective credit. One option is dual enrollment. As I mentioned during our advisory assembly, you have the chance to take classes at City College for both high school credit and college credit. You need to have a minimum 2.5 unweighted GPA, 90% attendance, and on the official, the real SAT, either a 480 reading or a 530 math. Or, if you get a 6 on the City College's Ready to Write placement tests or a 46 plus on the ALEKS math tests, these are placement tests you would take at City College. If you meet these requirements, you can go ahead and register for a class at City College. The process is that you go first and decide which class you want to take. Then you have to complete an online application as well as a packet that I have in Student Services. I'll need to submit your transcript and a paperwork that you complete with your parent, and then that's it. You take the class and get high school credit and college credit at the same time. Check your email from school from Mr. Hebert to see more details all about the dual enrollment process. If you choose to do a dual enrollment class, you can leave. Rather than doing lunch at school, you can leave early. So you would have no lunch period, your dual enrollment class, and then you're early out and have a chance to leave at about 12:40 during the day. If you're interested in doing this, you'll want to stop by the counseling office to learn more about dual enrollment. You'll also see your leadership options within the course catalog. You need to apply for this before spring break, and you may see within your recommendations whether or not you're accepted into this program or not. You can only apply and register to do these classes if you applied for it beforehand. The final class I want to highlight is called the Senior College Seminar. This is a half-credit elective course that I strongly recommend for students. In this class, you'll be able to work with a teacher and get all of your college applications complete. You'll be able to complete your FAFSA, your financial aid application. You'll be able to get a lot of support on doing your personal statement, your college essay, and you can also get help applying for scholarships, among other skills that you'll want to know about as you're leaving high school and going into college. This is an excellent opportunity if you're applying to selective colleges and above, if you're thinking about leaving the city, or if you just need some extra support getting your classes and your college schedule ready for next year. This is a course I strongly recommend for all students. Once you have chosen all of your classes, your next step is going to be to register. You're going to be registering on computers during the first 2 weeks in May. So unlike last year where I grabbed you and had you come in groups into Student Services and I was helping you register with me, this time you'll be doing it on laptops during your academic lab period. You're going to log into PowerSchool, and you're going to click on the button that says Class Registration. When you come in there, you'll see this screen. You're going to want to go really carefully through the screen. I give you really good information on the side for what kinds of classes you need to pick. And then you'll go through each one, click on the pencil icon, and then choose what you want to do. So in this first box, you're choosing, do I want to have an academic lab, an early release, an extended lunch, or a late arrival? You'll choose whatever makes sense and then hit OK. As you go through, you'll see that your classes are starting to fill up in this section here. Something important to keep in mind. You do not need to pick something from every single section. I've tried to make things easier by grouping all of your classes together, like your science classes and social studies classes, so it's easier to find. But you do not have to pick something in every single section. You have to pick the classes you need to graduate and then to pick the classes that sound interesting. Once you've gone through and filled everything up, you'll be able to hit the Submit button on the bottom of the screen. One place that you might find helpful to look through is over here on Grade History. If you click here, you can see all the classes that you've taken and your progress towards graduation, so you'll know what you still need to take in order to graduate. Of course, you can also come and ask me about that too. Really important to keep in mind, you have 2 weeks to complete your registration process. If you do not come and complete your registration process, I'm not going to come and find you, so I will not be coming down to the band room or the library or hunting for you in the cafeteria or the resource room or any other area. You need to come and complete your registration. If you don't complete your registration by the end of the registration process, I'll be choosing all of your classes for you. If you have any questions or concerns or you're not sure what to do or what to take, please come and find me. Feel free to come and email me or stop by and see me, and we can talk through all the classes together and think through what some good options for you would be. It's going to be really exciting. Enjoy.